ton. Meanwhile, we're going to hop back to Muzzy versus Eddie as our next match with Priest on both sides and then Paladin being banned. So no Holy Wrath Paladins for this head-to-head, which I anticipated a lot of Paladins being played today, TJ. It was actually the deck I've been playing the most lately because I realized that the deck is is very tricky. There's a lot of nuances, and so I'll try to put some reps.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. You have to make sure you do the right order of Baleful Banker, Shirvala, and Holy Wrath. You definitely don't want a Holy Wrath first. That could put you in an awkward position. You definitely don't want a Baleful Banker first. It's Shirvala, then Baleful Banker, then Holy Wrath. Just some tips for you, Dan, as we move forward. But taking a look at the lineups, Malygos Druid.
Reno Mage. Malygos Druid, Reno Mage combo Priest. Muzzy also bringing, you know, some pasta al dente.
So just normal pasta?
Yeah.
Okay.
The good stuff.
I would assume that the crazy stuff would be like Muzzy bringing raw pasta.
Al dente.
And serving it up on a plate with cold spaghetti sauce. And a spicy meatball on top.
That's gross. I'm not coming to your house when
Well, I mean, you made me really hungry earlier. You said something about a spicy meatball train.
So you started fantasizing.
If you could
about a
just
meatball
like
train?
DM me where I can buy tickets, I don't care where it's going. I'll take any destination at this point.
Turns out it's the train to Burning Man. You're like, no.
I would still ride it, and I'd ride it back.
All right, Muzzy with the finished mulligan with Doomsayer. Doomsayer might be the key to unlocking that early game survival against the Priest. Muzzy with a very middling 3-3 record. Eddie looking to wrap up the week with a strong victory and put himself in first place contention.
Yeah, Eddie having a very similar season to Season 1, where he's at the top of the standings. Very close games, but well-played games, and, you know, always fighting for first place. That's kind of where Eddie was in Season 1, and it feels like that's where he's going to be in Season 2. He's not at the very front of the metagame, but he's also not at the very back of the metagame. It's just really solid performances overall from Eddie. Now in the Priest versus Mage matchup, he's got Northshire Cleric on 1. As we are highlighting aggressively.
Someone injured?
There we go.
Yep.
I think Eddie thought that he played the Northshire Cleric. Because he was mousing over it, and then it looked like he like alt-tabbed or something, and then came back and was like, "Oh man, I didn't play it."
The end is coming!
You know what I mean?
Eddie unhappy to see that, but does he pick up a way to kill it? He might. No.
No.
You don't really want to go for like the sides. I think, well, you could. You could still attack the 0-7, heal it. You can still also get Topsy-Turvy. There's 2 draws here. Gets none of them. Nope. Whoa. Big picks for Muzz. Arcade Intellect. What does that card do, TJ?
I listened to you and Kibler yesterday. I was driving home, and I listened to you and Kibler yesterday, and I was like, oh, my God.
I got a lot of passionate comments, both for and against doing that on broadcast. Some people were like, this is awful. Frody has the worst commentator ever. Talk about the game, please. Which I technically was. And then there's other people who said, am I weird for liking this? This is getting me so hype. I don't understand. What's happening? Someone messaged me like, I kind of wish, like, that was really strange, but you should probably do that more often. I would watch more Grandmasters if you did it like that. I'm like, I don't know if I can keep that up.
I am in that camp.
For those of you who don't know, yesterday I was just being really stupid on broadcast. So basically like every other day on broadcast.
Yep.
Yeah. I was reading things in an anime voice.
Yep. I somewhat enjoyed it, but was also confused by it.
This brings us back to our original question. TJ, what is Arcane Sword? For our viewers at home, they need to understand, TJ. We need to do a noob-friendly broadcast at times. Don't assume everyone knows everything.
Well, I'll assume that I'm in the position of Muzzy. I play Arcane Intellect. I draw 2 cards from my deck.
Which allows you to draw 2 cards from your deck. And that actually pumps up the power of Twilight Drake, because now it's at a 4/7, it looks like, which would match the injured Blade Master. However, Eddie has the double Divine Spirit Inner Fire. And if he has the Vaporize... You know, actually, Spellbender is an interesting way to mess with it, too, because it stops, like, the Divine Spirit, stops the Inner Fire.
Yep. Spellbender better than Counterspell in this case because of the coin.
Yes, and also, because Spellbender is harder to activate, it makes Eddie really consider about the possibility of Vaporize.
Yes.
Until he can narrow it down. So this secret, the Spellbender choice, I think, is definitely the correct one because coin and Counterspell interact with each other. And so now Eddie has to test for a bunch of stuff. This Divine Spirit, go on this 4/7. It looks great because, in theory, Eddie has lethal, right? He has Power Word Shield, Divine Spirit, Inner Fire. Nope, he does not have enough mana to do that.
I wonder.
If he had 1 more mana, he would actually have that lethal opportunity.
Yes.
For now, it's still scary.
But Mirror Entity, the easiest to test for,
Right.
which confuses me. Why he wouldn't want to play Beaming Sidekick into it unless he has plans to kill off the Arcane Keysmith.
No Splitting Image. No Mirror Entity.
So Vaporize, Flame Ward, Counterspell,
Ice Barrier.
Ice Barrier, Spellbender. And this kind of delay in Eddie's game plan is exactly what Muzzy wants. Picks up Reno. Reno the Relicologist.
So now Muzzy's dead. Unless Eddie sequences this wrong. He's going to attack, and he sees it's going to be a spell-related one.
Yep.
Power Word Shield pops both the Counterspell and the
And Spellbender.
Spellbender, and then you coin Divine Spirit, Inner Fire. GG.
You fought valiantly, Muzzy.
Good
but
try.
Unfortunately,
Good try.
Super Saturday here in Grandmasters Week 4.
Oh, wait, forgot the Wild Pyromancer. The Wild Pyromancer changes that interaction, right?
Oh, it does.
Because it damages...
That's why you played the Beaming Sidekick last turn.
Yeah. We forgot about that.
What's funny about that is that because we made that missed call, I could see our production team frantically scrambling that the game was about to end.
That's great, yeah. They're all laughing
I can
now.
hear them yelling, "Get back! It's ending!
Game's over!
So Dan and I actually saw that from a mile away.
Yeah, we were actually testing.
We were keeping them on their toes.
Yeah. We are actually the executive producer of Hearthstone Esports. Which makes sense why everyone messages me about fixing it. Oh, Eddie is unhappy. He realized he might have had... Oh, the Reno. Oh, it's so bad, TJ. Oh, wow.
Wait, did he still have?
No, I don't think he still had it because the 6 went to 7, and then...
He would have needed exactly 28, huh?
Well, so Muzzy's at 27. It was a 3-1 to 4-6. This actually it's an interaction question. The Spellbender, does it work with the Power Word Shield and the Pyromancer still activates? Because if so, it makes the injured Blade Master a 5 health minion if the Pyromancer activates, and then double Divine Spirit Inner Fire would have only been 20.
Either way, he would have cast a second spell, which would have brought it down. I think it was 24 damage maximum.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it because 6 would have went to 12.
Yeah.
So he needed that either way. And the key was what you said, the beaming sidekick last turn.
Yeah.
He was 100% the beaming sidekick.
Because beaming sidekick still allows you to test for everything.
Yes, and Eddie is dead. He drew 2 of everything else. What a turn of events. You can see that Muzzy is relieved. And Eddie is very upset because he knew that that was a winnable game and a winnable situation. And I think that, you know, to his credit, Wyra Pyromancer on average is a better minion to play than the beaming sidekick in a vacuum because you have more tempo, you have more options, you can answer what your opponent plays, you can have better trades, you have more damage on the board. But in that very specific instance, given the context of his hand and the way he was trying to set up the lethal for the 4/7, the tools were there, just didn't end up piecing together.
Yeah, even if you think about it in a sense of, oh, he wanted to kind of remove the board after Mirror Entity. Yeah. Like, Mirror Entity allows him to remove the board easier with Beaming Sidekick because he takes less damage on his injured Blade Master, and the Wild Pyromancer on the other side can't trade back.
I agree.
So in both ways, the way you mentioned and that way that I mentioned, Beaming Sidekick's better if you're testing for Mirror Entity with the way his hand was. You're not doing anything else. You're all in. You have no minions. You have all spells. You're all in on one minion. Play to your hand.
Yep. And it would have still worked out okay, too, because of the Flame Ward, and he got the Beaming Sidekick buff, which would have been able to heal up to 8, and then 8 would have still done
2 health, so it still plays into Vaporize the same way, because Muzzy still has the same trouble removing it.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to find out if Eddie can bring this back against Muzzy.
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs. They grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. But this league's gonna save the world.
Mazahidul Islam. I go by Muzzy in game. My username, as you know, my first name is Mazahidul. It's kind of difficult to say for some people, and every time someone calls you, you know, they're gonna have to say, hey, Mazahidul, you know, that's long, and you don't want to say that. My friend gave me a nickname, you know, like, hey Muzz, hey Muzzy, so I sort of just took that and, you know, my name's Muzzy. I took a look at the list of players. Some of them have been more focused on streaming, I would say, in these past few years. I've participated at the highest levels of competition that they might not have appeared in. I'm the player to beat in my group, for sure. The thing that I most look forward to about competing in Grandmasters is the thrill of the competition. It's really why I play Hearthstone. It's what I've enjoyed doing for the past 3-4 years, and it's what I'll continue to enjoy doing, hopefully. I think Hearthstone Instinct is definitely my greatest skill set. I think that if I took a break for a while and didn't play the game and came back to new cards, I think I could pilot a new deck fairly well, fairly quickly. People would always mention the term burnout to me. Burnout, burnout, burnout. I didn't know what it was. I would constantly play Hearthstone all the time. I definitely want to have more titles and put my name in Hearthstone history.
My name is Eddie Liu, formerly Sehun628. Now it's just Eddie plain. My last year I had a pretty successful year, especially since I only played this game for 2 years. I won DreamHack Atlanta. It's only a tour stall, but it meant a lot to me, especially since I was grinding really, really hard for a win. When I first knew that, like I received the email that I got into Grandmaster, I was really excited. I checked my email at like 10:30, and I was like hyped. I was like, oh my god, is this actually real? I think I'm a very consistent player. I think the X factor for myself is that I hate playing aggro decks, I would say. I'm a very control/anti-control player. I rather outgrind my opponent in resources. I constantly judge myself, oh, is this right? Is what I'm doing correct? And it means a lot. It means a lot to me that if other people are agreeing what I do and what I think. At this point, I just want to make Worlds. I had a pretty good record in tour stop. I think I was at least top 10, if not top 5. I think I was lucky. I think this group is the easier group, and I think I have a good chance getting out of groups.
Eddie vs. Muzzy is underway as Muzzy's currently up 1-0 after the hammer was dropped, TJ. The punish. That's what you want to see. I like Eddie a lot. I think he's been playing pretty well, all things considering. I've enjoyed getting to know him over the past few months, being able to do Grandmasters and talking to him. That being said, I want to see the punish, TJ. I want to see the choke slam, the Stone Cold Austin. Is that what they say? I don't really follow wrestling at all.
The Stone Cold Austin?
That sounds like a move that you would do.
Well, Stone Cold Steve
The
Austin.
Tennessee Logjammer.
That might be one. I don't know.
Yeah, either that or it's like a Kama Sutra position. I'm not sure. But
I don't think I was allowed to watch WWE when I was...
I was not either because it was deemed too violent.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't remember if I wasn't or if that's some weird memory that my brain made up to make up for the fact that my friends shamed me for not watching it.
Was it really popular growing
When
up?
I was younger, yes, in my area, it was popular. But maybe I wasn't interested in it, and I just told all my friends that I wasn't allowed to watch it, so I didn't have to talk about it with them.
It always seemed pretty dope, but then my friends that really liked it always wanted to try the moves out on me.
Dope.
Yeah, it was a lot of really weird, sweaty, inappropriate moments at the young, ripe age of 8 or 9. I was very impressionable back then.
Probably painful at times, considering you were not a trained professional at the age of 9.
Yeah, and they explicitly ignored the big red font saying, "Do not try this at home," which we promptly decided to say, you know what, let's try that right now.
Do not hit your brothers, sisters, friends, or any other
With folding chairs.
people immediate in your vicinity with folding chairs.
Well, speaking what feels like a folding chair moment here, if Muzzy drops his Northshire Cleric, it's about to get slammed by this Weapons Project. That is a big reason why Weapons Project can be useful, is to clean up the early game. In the past, it was used to snipe the 3/2 minions. Oh, Muzzy with the read.
And Eddie looks stressed.
He really wanted to play Cleric.
He really wanted him
And
to play Cleric.
I think you can even anticipate the fact that he is holding Cleric. Like, why would you wait so long? One, if you had nothing to play.
Yeah. And now the punish for his keep, the Weapons Project, which is the Intra Tolvir into Psychopomp. This is the third priest game in a row that we've seen on broadcast where there's double Divine Spirit Interfire in the top 10 cards.
This deck is
Production
so
team,
silly.
get ready.
Production team, get ready! Oh, it looks like Muzzy is about to have lethal. Okay, they start talking to each other. Okay, good. They heard us. They heard us. Gotta keep him on the toes, you know?
Yeah. Eddie just looks upset.
Well, I think he's torn more. Right? This looks like a snip-snap opportunity to me. Snip-snap sets it up so that way next turn, like, first of all, you don't kill the 2/3. That stinks. But snip-snap sets you up so that you're in better position against multiple threats in case your opponent plays Light Warden and a few other things. The worst-case scenario is what's about to happen, which is Muzzy goes for the Cleric heal, and then you really can't get past his 2/5. And even if you do, the Psychopomp comes out. But it looks like to me a snip-snap setup. Ooh, Nelly. That is a good draw here for Muzzy. Because now he's even safe against the Snip Snap. So what is he worried about? He's worried about Restless Mummy, right?
Is someone injured?
So
he's
if he
gonna
heals, it goes to 5, goes to 7 health. It's safe from Restless Mummy now. And he can't kill the Cleric.
And you always assume Restless Mummy because there's 2 of that and 1 of Zodiacs.
Okay, this works too, which is protecting the Cleric. I like this better too because he wants the 2/4 to die because you can Psycho Pop on curve. This is very nice.
And then if Eddie slips up for just 1 teensy second,
Okay, Eddie's got the easiest shield block, rip the shield slam moment here.
then he still doesn't kill one of the minions on board. But he has Ziliax next turn. That can help stabilize at the very least.
Yeah, this might be a setup for Ziliax. Like you play the Eternium Rover and then you pass. I mean, what's done is done. Nerfshire Cleric's up. Intertolvir's securing the board. Not really much you can really do. An alternative is to double Warpath in this position. You Warpath twice, trade it to the 2/2. It's a 1/3. Your opponent heals, you Ziliax next turn and kill it. But that's a very optimistic thing, and that's also anticipating that Muzzy's not going to do anything else. Okay, so he is going for the Eternium Rover setup. I mean, it does set up for Ziliax either way. This is slightly worse against... Well, it doesn't really matter too much because the 2/6 comes up either way for Psychopop. But I was thinking about the implication for Pyromancer. I think both of his plays would have been very weak in that spot. Double Divine Spirit, double.
The end begins. I've more left in me.
Sure. Muzzy can kill off the turn Rover. And the lack of a shield slam last turn already has confirmed it in Muzzy's mind.
Yes. Whew.
So is this a Harrison Jones and just let your opponent do stuff and then try to react afterwards? Or is it a Ziliax turn? Muzzy says it's the latter.
Yeah. I think he just needs to find things that can fight, right? He needs to find Plague of Wrath, Brawl, things that can deal with the board once it gets out of control. And to be honest, I think it's already out of control. If he Ziliaxes, he kills the first half of the injured Tolvir, so he doesn't take any power off the board. A Circle of Healing or a Nephrisite Ritualist means he's back to square one and has used a pretty big resource in dealing with it. So I'd like getting value of the Harrison Jones while he still can, and then trying to find wide board sweeping removal in order to kind of claw back in this game. Muzzy going in next turn has 31 damage, I believe. Can't play the second Inner Fire. So it's just, what, 28?
And he starts preemptively swinging, though. It's going to help him a little bit.
Yes, it will. That's true.
And he wants to use some of his life as a resource. Circle of Healing.
Oh, boy.
I mean, that's just 2 cards, or 6 cards, rather, if he really wants it, with the Northshire Cleric. That wouldn't make him overdraw, so I think we can just go with the 1 Cleric for now. So there's 2 cards. There's 3 cards that's available through the first Northshire Cleric. How much pressure does he want to put in here is the question.
Probably a good amount.
Well, if he draws into extra arms, I think that's like a good use of his resources, perhaps, instead.
I must consider.
So if he goes all in on 1 minion but doesn't clear the board, he's worried about being punished by Plague of Wrath.
Sure. Finds a silence. Very nifty. Now you can use Circle of Healing. Oh, I guess in this case, Never Start Ritualist is just better, so you can save the circle.
So 4 cards.
Draws 4 cards. Really well done here.
Wow, perfect mana expenditure, perfect hand size, still pressure on board. That's a clean priest turn right there.
Very clean.
I'm digging it.
The silence was really nice too. So now this Tolvir is protected again, and he can remove it with the Restless Mummy. He also has a triple Warpath here available to him.
Still leaves a Cleric up and a Tolvir up.
Anything that you do will leave up a Cleric and a Tolvir. Except for Restless Mummy into the 2/6.
Yeah, Restless Mummy doesn't leave a damaged minion on board. But I think Eddie's past the point of trying to deny card draw.
Yeah, your opponent's already drawn a bunch of cards. I think the concern might be death. Funnily enough, the only minions that have died are Psychopomp and injured Tolvir. So Muzzy's second Psychopomp has potential for also adding a lot of pressure onto the board, but also whiffing pretty heavily. I think Eddie is desperate enough where he's like, okay, I just might need Brawl or Plague of Wrath.
Yep.
I think Plague of Wrath is the only card on his mind right now.
Yep. He only has a single copy. We saw a lot of players in Europe and even 1 or 2 in Americas, I think, have the double Plague of Wrath. Good against Druid. Oftentimes can be a lifesaver against Priest because not that you need 2 of them, but that you need 1 of them on time. There's a lot to think about here from Muzzy. Like how much do you want to go in here? How much card draw do you want to deny? What your reload looks like if Brawl or Plague of Wrath comes out.
Well, he's kind of pigeonholed himself to, like, if he does end up going for a healthy board, he ends up overdrawing. So perhaps he could just split the difference and use part of the combo right now. Instead of going all in, he just uses a Divine Spirit and uses one of the Inner Fires and then just goes. Oh, he's going in.
The play from Eddie, I think, is what unlocked this. Eddie did not interact with the board at all, but instead played an Acolyte of Pain and drew a shield block, which leads Muzzy to believe that what Eddie's trying to do is dig aggressively for answers.
Right. So now he has a Warpath.
For Plague of Wrath!
And Plague of Wrath. Doesn't get it. Trade in.
Plague of Wrath! Brawl!
That'll do, I guess.
Unless
the big thing survives.
Oh! When it rains, it pours.
Muzzy 2-0 over Eddie. And the Priest continues its dominance over everything, even the decks that it tries to get beaten by. Warrior, usually a counter to the Priest with the amount of removal it had, but Muzzy with an unstoppable hand. The double Divine Spirit Inner Fire on turns 5, 6, 7 have been way too much to stop right now, TJ. It's been put on full display for today's games.
Yeah, but I do love how Muzzy played that. Understanding that holding on to Northshire Cleric on 1 after seeing Town Crier was the right play to go.
That unlocked everything.
Unlocked everything. Frustrated Eddie to no end because he couldn't deal with the early board after that. Made his board resilient to Restless Mummy, even though Restless Mummy wasn't there. That one turn where he went with the Never Set Ritualist, minimizing the useless minions on board and maximizing the useful minions on board. Just well played overall. I like his timing, taking the cue from Eddie that he was digging for an answer, going all in on that cue, and getting rewarded heftily on the Brawl.
Sure.
But
I mean, he had a lot of game plan
follow-up.
afterwards.
He had a Met in hand. Still had an Inner Fire left, even though Divine Spirits were gone. Had many ways to try and close out the game from there. So very well played.
Yep, let's go ahead and check in with Muzzy off of this victory. Muzzy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. What's up?
All right, another 2-0, very nicely done, back and forth there. Do you feel that you played really well? Because on our end, it looked like you were firing all cylinders here.
Yeah, I definitely played a lot better than last week. I would say last week it was, I don't know, it was just an off day for me. I just couldn't focus for whatever reason. But today I practiced my decks more, sat down, and yeah, won the priest versus warrior game. I think in that game, a lot of people undervalue cleric a lot. I see them jamming it out on one, just playing it out. But in that matchup, like once you have the cleric, if you can make it draw 3 cards or even more, at that point you usually have enough resources to keep going against the warrior and make your boards pretty awkward for them to deal with. Like I saw him keep 1 card. And then he played the 1-drop on 1, so I knew, it's not safe. He runs weapons projects, 2 weapons projects, so it could die. So I just held on to it, played the taunt, and then made it awkward in a way so he couldn't reach the cleric at 5 health on turn 4. And then I just kind of snowballed from there. It went in. Even if he dealt with that board with Plague of Wrath, I'd follow up with 3-drop, 2-drop, and the full heal. And then I had Ahmed and Psychopomp too. It just felt pretty good that game, holding out that cleric.
Yeah, I think that it's a really good summary of how the gameplay ended up working out, and he just didn't really have much going on. Let's talk a little bit about Reno Mage. You're one of the only people to bring Reno Mage in all of Grandmasters this weekend. You're the only one in Americas. I mean, do you have a lot of faith in that deck, or is it just something that you're preparing specifically for your opponents this week?
I mean, did you see that Reno on 6 deal 10 damage to everything on his side and winning the game? Like, there's not many other decks that can do that. I think the Priest versus Mage matchup in the past, it was really bad, but a lot of that had to do with 2 mana extra arms. I feel with it being 3 mana now, they can't get, the board state as early and snowball it. I think the most difficult starts for mage to deal with against that priest is cleric into extra arms or 1-drop extra arms. You just gotta hope for the Doomsayer or Frostbolt or something. I had the Doomsayer, you don't know the answer, so it worked out.
Should we tell him, TJ?
Should we tell
Eddie
him?
died with double Divine Spirit and double Inner Fire in his hand, and had he played Beaming Psychic or like sequence things a little bit differently, he actually had the lethal on the following turn.
Yeah, we talked about it a bit after the game too. The key that game was the Arcane Keysmith on turn 4. I could have played a lot more stats, but I wanted to get a secret down to threaten Vape so that he couldn't go in, and then I'd have the potential for an extra turn, to draw another answer, Voodoo Doll Polymorph in my deck. And then since it wasn't Vape and you have to consider Entity and everything else too, the Spellbender just made the most sense. I felt it would confuse him the most and make it more awkward for him, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Like, secrets are the worst part of Hearthstone. Like, you have to think about so much. Your first instinct is you want to play around everything. You want to create you want to create a game plan where you can beat every single secret, right? And sometimes that just can't happen. Like that game, it was just too slow. And
Yep. The confusion messed them up, and that's what I think was the key to that series.
I fall into that trap as well when I play. I try to beat every single secret too, but sometimes you can, and it's hard to make that decision to know when to go in, I feel.
Absolutely. Well said. All right, congrats, Muzzy, on your win. We'll see you back tomorrow. Last match of the day versus Purple.
Yeah, see you guys then. Hopefully another interview.
I have a feeling that another interview might be coming. Muzzy's in a good mood. Seems like Radiance is firing on all cylinders. Well done. Saiyan gets the W. Muzzy gets the W. That's a Team Radiance double victory for today.